5 mistakes in moral mathematics. It is often claimed that, in cases that involve very many people, any single altruistic choice would make no difference. Some of those who make this claim believe that it undermines only the fourth moral solution, that provided by sufficient altruism. These people argue that, in such cases, because we cannot appeal to the consequences of our acts, we must appeal instead either to the Kantian test, what if everyone did that, or to the reluctance to free ride. But if my contribution involves a real cost to me, and would certainly make no difference, would give no benefit to others, I may not be moved by my reluctance to free ride. This reluctance may apply only when I believe that I am profiting at the expense of others. If my contribution would make no difference, my failure to contribute will not be worse for others, so I will not be profiting at their expense. I may believe that the case is like those where some threshold has been clearly passed, so that any further altruistic act is a sheer waste of effort. This belief may also undermine the Kantian solution. If my contribution would make no difference, I can rationally will that everyone else does what I do. I can rationally will that no one contributes when he knows that his contribution would make no difference. Since others may think like me, it is of great importance whether, in such cases, we can explain why we should contribute by appealing to the consequences of our acts. We can. But to do so, we must avoid several mistakes in moral mathematics. The share of the total view. The first, rescue mission. I know all of the following. 100 miners are trapped in a shaft with floodwaters rising. These men can be brought to the surface in a lift raised by weights on long levers. If I and 3 other people go to stand on some platform, this will provide just enough weight to raise the lift and will save the lives of these 100 men. If I do not join this rescue mission, I can go elsewhere and save single-handedly the lives of 10 other people. There is a 5th potential rescuer. If I go elsewhere, this person will join the other 3, and these 4 will save the 100 miners. When I could act in several ways, how should I decide which act would benefit people most? Suppose first that all 5 of us go to save the miners. On the share of the total view, each produces his share of the total benefit. Since we 5 save 100 lives, each saves 20 lives. Less literally, the good that each does is equivalent to the saving of this many lives. On this view, I ought to join the other 4 and save the equivalent of 20 lives. I should not go elsewhere to save the other 10 people, since I would then be saving fewer people. This is clearly the wrong answer. If I go with the other 4, 10 people needlessly die. Since the other 4 would, without my help, save the 100 miners, I should go and save these 10 people. The share of the total view might be revised. It might claim that, when I join others who are doing good, the good that I do is not just my share of the total benefit produced. I should subtract from my share any reduction that my joining causes in the shares of the benefits provided by others. If I join this rescue mission, I shall be one of 5 people who together save 100 lives. My share will be 20 lives. If I had not joined, the other 4 would have saved the 100, and the share saved by each would have been 25 lives, or 5 more than when I join. By joining, I reduce the shares of the other 4 by a total of 4 times 5, or 20 lives. On the revised view, my share of the benefit is therefore 20 minus 20, or nothing. I should therefore go and save the other 10 people. The revised view gives the right answer. But consider next the second rescue mission. As before, the lives of 100 people are in danger. These people can be saved if I and 3 other people join in a rescue mission. We 4 are the only people who could join this mission. If any of us fails to join, all of the 100 people will die. If I fail to join, I could go elsewhere and save single-handedly 50 other lives. On the revised share of the total view, I ought to go elsewhere and save these 50 others. If instead I join this rescue mission, my share of the benefit produced is only the equivalent of saving 25 lives. I can therefore do more good if I go elsewhere and save the 50. This is clearly false, since if I act in this way, 50 more lives will be lost. I ought to join this rescue mission. We must make a further revision. I must add to my share of the benefit produced any increase that I cause to the shares produced by others. If I join, I enable each of 3 people to save with me 100 lives. If I do not join, these 3 will save no lives. My share is 25 lives, and I increase by 75 the shares produced by the others. On this doubly revised view, my total share is 100 lives. This is also the total share produced by each of the others. Since each counts as producing the whole of this total benefit, this is not a version of the share of the total view. It is a quite different view. This doubly revised view gives the right answer in this case. It is no objection to this view that it claims that each saves 100 lives. This is what each does, not by himself, but with the help of others. This view can be put more simply. I should act in the way whose consequence is that most lives are saved. More generally, see 6. An act benefits someone if its consequence is that someone is benefited more. An act harms someone if its consequence is that someone is harmed more. The act that benefits people most is the act whose consequence is that people are benefited most. These claims imply correctly that I should not join the first rescue mission, but should join the second. Consequentialists should appeal to C6. So should others if they give any weight to what Ross called the principle of beneficence. On any plausible moral theory, we should sometimes try to do what would benefit people most. C6 may need to be further explained. Suppose that I can do either 1 or 2. In deciding which would benefit people more, I should compare all of the benefits and losses that people would later receive if I did 1, and all of the benefits and losses that people would later receive if I did 2. The act which benefits people more is the one that, in this comparison, would be followed by the greater net sum of benefits. The greater sum of benefits minus losses. It is irrelevant if, as is often true, the acts of many other people would also be parts of the cause of the receiving of these benefits and losses. C6 subtly revises the ordinary use of the words benefit and harm. When I claim to have benefited someone, I am usually taken to mean that some act of mine was the chief or immediate cause of some benefit received by this person. According to C6, I benefit someone even when my act is a remote part of the cause of the receiving of this benefit. All that needs to be true is that if I had acted otherwise, this person would not have received this benefit. Similar claims apply to harm. There is a second way in which C6 revises our use of benefit and harm. On the ordinary use, I sometimes benefit someone even though what I am doing is not better for this person. This can be true when my act, though sufficient to produce some benefit, is not necessary. Suppose that I could easily save either J's life or K's arm. I know that if I do not save J's life, someone else certainly will. But no one else can save K's arm. On our ordinary use, if I save J's life, I benefit him, and I give him a greater benefit than the benefit that I would give to K if I saved his arm. But for moral purposes, this is not the way to measure benefits. In making my decision, I should ignore this benefit to J, as C6 tells me to do. According to C6, I do not benefit J when I save his life. It is not true that the consequence of my act is that J is benefited more. If I had acted differently, someone else would have saved J's life. C6 implies correctly that I ought to save K's arm. This is the act whose consequence is that people are benefited more. On the revised use of benefit, this is the act that benefits people more. The first mistake in moral mathematics is the share of the total view. We should reject this view and appeal instead to C6.